Picture this. You're 45 years old, sitting at your kitchen table with your checkbook. You write a check for $42,000, the last of your savings, your emergency fund, everything. You mail it to the bank. You've done it. Your house is paid off. You sleep soundly that night, believing you just made the smartest financial decision of your life. 6 months later, you lose your job. Your bank account is empty. You look at the walls around you. $500,000 of equity trapped in those walls. But you can't eat drywall. You can't pay bills with bricks. You go to the bank for a loan, and they laugh. You don't have a job. You're sitting inside a pile of gold, and you're starving to death. This is the liquidity trap. Here's what nobody tells you about paying off your mortgage early. That money disappears. It becomes what I call dead equity. It produces no income. It can't be spent. It just sits there, locked inside your house, doing absolutely nothing until you sell or borrow against it. And here's the cruel irony. When you actually need that money, when you lose your job, when an emergency hits, banks won't lend it back to you. Banks lend to people who don't need it. If your credit score tanks or the market crashes, that equity is trapped. Compare two people. One has a paid-off $500,000 house and zero cash. The other has a mortgage and $500,000 in investments. Who's safer? The person with cash has options. They can sell stocks, pay their mortgage for 5 years if needed, handle any crisis. The person with the paid-off house? They have a roof, but no engine. If they can't pay property taxes, the county takes the house anyway. Cash guarantees security. Liquidity guarantees security. Paying off your mortgage destroys liquidity. Let's talk about how banks actually make their billions, because this is how you should be thinking. A bank borrows money from you through your savings account at 0.5% interest, then lends it back to you as a mortgage at 6%. They keep the spread. That's their profit. You can do the exact same thing in reverse. Say you have $100,000 extra cash and a 4% mortgage. You have two choices: pay off $100,000 of debt or invest that money at 8% historical market returns. If you pay the mortgage, you save $4,000 a year in interest. If you invest, you earn $8,000 a year. That 4% spread is your profit. It's free money created by leverage. Over 30 years, that single decision to invest instead of paying off debt is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Let me show you the real numbers. If you're paying an extra $1,000 a month toward your mortgage to pay it off in 15 years instead of 30, you feel virtuous. But if you invested that $1,000 monthly in an S&P 500 index fund for 30 years at historical 10% returns, you'd have nearly $2 million. The person who rushed to pay off their house? They have a paid-off house worth maybe $800,000 and zero investments. The difference in net worth is over $1 million. That's the price of your peace of mind. Here's something most people completely miss. Inflation is the enemy of the saver, but the best friend of the debtor. When you take out a 30-year fixed mortgage, you lock in your payment forever. Right now, you might pay $2,000 a month. That might be 25% of your income. But in 20 years, due to inflation, that same $2,000 payment will feel like pocket change. Your income will have doubled or tripled, but your mortgage payment stays frozen in time. You're paying the bank back with cheaper dollars. They lent you valuable $2,025, and you're repaying them with worthless $2,045. The bank is losing on this deal. By paying off your mortgage early, you're giving them a gift. You're paying them back with today's valuable dollars instead of tomorrow's cheap ones. You should drag that loan out as long as humanly possible and let inflation eat away at the real value of your debt. The mortgage gets cheaper every single year without you doing anything. This requires a fundamental shift in how you think about debt. You have to stop viewing debt as a sin. Debt is a tool. Corporations use debt. Governments use debt. The wealthy use debt to amplify returns and maintain liquidity. Only the middle class is taught that debt is evil, that we should rush to zero. But zero is a dangerous place to be. Zero leverage means zero amplification. Zero liquidity means zero options. There's also an unexpected benefit most people never consider: asset protection. If you get sued and have 100% equity in your home, that's a juicy target for creditors. If you have a mortgage covering 80% of the value, there's little equity to steal. You look poor on paper, high debt, which makes you unattractive for litigation, while your real wealth stays liquid and protected in investment accounts. The only time it makes sense to pay off a mortgage early is if your interest rate is significantly higher than market returns, like 8% or 9%, or if you genuinely can't save money and need forced discipline. But for disciplined investors, low-interest mortgage debt is an asset, a relic of a low-rate era we may never see again. Here's what you need to do right now. Stop paying extra on your mortgage. Take that extra $200, $500, or $1,000 you're sending every month and open a separate brokerage account. Call it your Freedom Fund. Set up automatic transfers into an S&P 500 index fund. In 10 years, compare the balance to the interest you would have saved. You'll be tens of thousands of dollars richer. More importantly, if you have an emergency tomorrow, you can access that money. You can't access the extra payment you sent to the bank last month. That money is gone forever. Stop optimizing for outdated boomer logic about being debt-free. Start optimizing for having a fortress of liquid cash that can handle any crisis. A paid-off house is a trophy. A massive investment portfolio is an army. I'd rather have the army. If this changed how you think about your mortgage, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Thanks for watching.